Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am a content creator. For those who don't know, my name is not necessarily important, so I think those who know me, and those who don't, it doesn't really matter. The only reason I actually even bring up the fact that I am a content creator is because it kind of validates or gives some credit to what I'm about to say. I also want to say that I have no skin in the game on this. I am not a full-time content creator. I'm not full-time commentator, Starcraft, streamer, or anything else. I have a full-time job as a software developer, and I have experienced what a lot of the life is like for a content creator, but I am not financially dependent on this. I obviously find joy when my stuff does well, but for the most part, I don't actually have skin in the game. I am constantly losing money on esports and my investment in it, and I don't really intend to see a huge return on it at any point, nor do I intend to go full-time. So I just want to make that clear as a big preface, because what we're about to talk about today is about the state of the community and why I think that it's not conducive for continued growth. Why this is something that's talked about a lot, especially in regards to Reddit. Why it constantly seems to drive away a lot of its content creators, why it has this negative impact on people that are involved in the scene and very much doing things for it, and why they eventually just start to get worn down emotionally, mentally, and eventually just don't want to do it anymore. It's a really, really big problem right now. And obviously there's been a recent thing that happened. I really don't want to just drag the person back into the limelight, as they clearly they want to be done with it, I think, right now, and to kind of go back and do their thing and sort of work stuff out themselves. So I'm not going to mention names, but most people will probably know what I'm referring to. And there is a huge problem where Reddit has been constantly doing things that drive content creators away. And I think that most people hear the usual things. Oh, the toxicity of Reddit, etc., how negative it can be. Then you also hear that the counterpoints that get bring up a lot are that, it's primarily positive and blah, blah, blah. It's only a few bad, eggs and stuff. Then you get the whole thing, the return response about negativity bias and how the negative comments oftentimes are weighed much more than the positive comments for, a content creator and stuff. Then you end up getting people saying, well, then if you're a content creator and you can't take it, either you need to grow some thick skin or you just need to get off of the community and get off the Reddit. Sometimes a lot of people, myself included, just decide at that point, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna stop using Reddit. So they get detached from the community, they stop interacting with it in one of the most primary forums, at least in what I think a lot of people's perception is of the Starcraft community. They kind of go into their own little recluse. And the other side of it is that people still continue to try to do it. They end up trying to have thicker skin, but at the end of the day, it's really freaking difficult to do. And I'll tell you why. This is, I think, a lot of it. A lot of people just think that it's about, if you're a content creator and you see these, the way that I guess they imagine it is that they imagine some content creator reading through a thread, it's 90% positive, and they stumble across one comment that's kind of shitty, and like, oh man, I'm feeling so depressed now. It's usually not like that, actually. Most content creators that I know in the Starcraft scene actually have some pretty decent thick skin. I actually used to consider myself to be a pretty thick-skinned person for the most part. The problem is that it's not about the one comment that you find. It's not even about the 5 random comments that you find on one day. It's about the gradual wear and tear, and it's about finding that comment on the day that you've already had kind of a shitty day. And maybe even it's not a shitty day, it's a shitty week, it's a shitty month. And that's exactly what I think Reddit and even Team Liquid to an extent, and a lot of these other, I guess, just general platforms for a community don't really do very well. They don't really support very well. Reddit and everybody else are very good at coming out and showing their support for these content creators, these tournament organizers, even players, etc. For a lack of a better analogy, when they're basically on the ground and practically bleeding out. But when they're starting to maybe not feel it so good, or they're having a bit of a rough week or something, maybe just a bit rough day, you don't really see the support coming out then. It's not until the content creators do things like start tweeting out about how sad or depressed they are, disappointed and everything. And yeah, I know that a lot of people don't like when content creators do that. They don't like when they are saying things like, oh man, I'm feeling so depressed, like my sub count's going down, I really wish that I could get more subs, or blah, blah, blah. But when you are financially dependent on that, and that is one of the only ways that's been shown to actually get results and to get more people to come out and support your content, even the people that, you know, I understand you don't really want to be that beggar. Trust me, there is not a single person in this scene that creates content that actually wants to be that person that's constantly just like, hey guys, like, look, I'm trying to financially justify this, but if people support it, I can do that. But if people don't, then I can't do that. Please subscribe. Like, nobody wants to be that person that has to do that. It's a really awkward and very, I guess, ill-feeling thing to have to do, is basically begging people to like come support your content so you can keep doing it. It's never a good feeling. And I hope that people understand that that's not what the content creators want to do. But it's one of the only effective ways that I think people have found to actually get your content out there. Because the reality is, those kinds of things are the things that end up on Reddit. Those are the kinds of things that ends up getting people to respond to on Twitter and show support and all that stuff. Because it doesn't happen at any or almost any other time. There are only a few content creators out there that have cultivated a very good community, that have people that will, for example, even do simple things. I'm not even talking about subscribing. I'm not talking about monetary support anymore. I'm talking literally just sharing content around. There are some great pieces of content that people enjoy. I know, I've talked to them about this, and I know that people enjoy them, the people that see it, but they don't share it around anywhere. They don't post it on Reddit. They oftentimes don't upvote it on Reddit. They don't leave comments on Reddit or anything. Like, they don't do any of these things. They don't tweet it out. They don't send it to their friends that they know are interested in Starcraft or anything. They just say, oh, yeah, that was cool. And then they just move on. And that's, I understand from a consumer perspective that makes a lot of sense. You owe nothing to those people. But if you want to continue seeing that kind of content, that is one of the ways you can show support. And it's not about showing support when the content creator is having the worst month of their life, or, you know, they're on the verge of financial crisis or anything like that, or they're just having like that really shitty day. You can do that stuff, and it's really, you avoid this whole situation if you're doing that consistently. When they're having good days, when they're having okay days, when they're having bad days. We only see the support when content creators have really bad times. And the reason why it's kind of just, we're solving for, I guess, a symptom of the problem. We're solving for when people finally get to the point that they're having those bad days, but they probably wouldn't end up having a lot of those bad days or feel really down about their streams if people were just sharing stuff more. If you literally just share content, it doesn't cost anything. It's so easy to do, but people just don't do it. And that's one of the most frustrating things. That's why a lot of the newer content creators get completely burnt out. That's why a lot of people that have been chugging for ages get burnt out. Wordy has been doing this for such a long time. I have been doing this since 2011. It's been like 6-7 years almost at this point. And yeah, a bunch of, I know I'm naming out particular names and stuff, but like a lot of us have been doing this for a long time. And it's only because, I don't know, I have something wrong with my brain that I'm still going, and that somehow I can keep chugging along despite the fact that I see absolutely no real future in this for myself. And I think a lot of other people have these glimmers of hope, and that probably makes it even harder, that they see a glimmer of hope that they can make this a future. And when they're getting so close and it feels like they're like at the goal line and they've fallen over, and it feels like nobody is there to like help them up or try and get them over to that, like, that final finishing line, it sucks. It hurts. So my kind of, I guess, my call to action, I don't know what you want to call it, is just that, please guys, I know that people are showing support for content creators now, because it's currently, as of the date of recording this, this is like a relevant thing that people are talking about in the community. But please just don't make it a temporary thing. Please think about this for not just a day or 3 days and then the StarCraft news cycle is done. This is something that constantly is a problem. It is a reoccurring problem, and you see it over and over and over again from different content creators. And eventually some of them do, as we have seen, decide that it's not worth it anymore, and they don't just take a break, they leave. They stop making StarCraft content because it's not worth it anymore. It's not worth the pain and the suffering that's involved in this, because it sucks to only feel like you get the support when you're at the brink. It really does. And I say all this again, I don't actually have skin in the game. I know it seems like that, but that's only because I feel strongly about it, having seen and talked with so many of these people and experienced a little bit of it, but of course not anything close to the degree that the other people have. And I am not financially dependent on it. I can continue saying, yeah, I'm going to run a tournament where absolutely nothing makes sense, and I don't need to get a sponsor. I can do it myself and all that stuff. That's not the case for most people. So when you don't really share that content, yeah, you know what? You are 100% entitled to that. You're entitled to not like content, and you don't have to share content you don't like. And you also are totally entitled to say or speak your mind about the things that you don't like in a reasonable fashion. Obviously, certain websites and stuff are going to censor you if you start being a total asshole about it. But for the most part, I will say you are also entitled to not share content that you like. Nobody is making you do that. But realize the impact that has, and that makes it harder for those people to continue justifying making that content. So, you know what? Don't even apply any of this stuff to me. For all of the other content creators that you like out there, please just start sharing things. Just start showing that support that you guys are so great at doing when everything is going to shit. But do it when things are going well too. Do it when things are going okay. That's the only thing I have to ask of you. I'm gonna post this on Reddit. I do not post on Reddit anymore. That's like how important this is to me, that I see all of these people constantly frustratingly dealing with all this shit. And I don't know if it's clear or not that I feel very passionate about this, but I mean, I hope that people at least take this to heart. And you know what? If you don't, you know, that's up to you. But this is at least something I feel very strongly about right now. And I couldn't stay silent about this anymore. So anyways, have a wonderful rest of your week, guys, and keep Starcrafting.